See her standing at the railroad station. Conductor blows his whistle. All aboard! Kids all hanging out the window. And with a jerk she rolls, and off she roars. Driver opens up the throttle. The all-clear signal beckons down the track. Fireman shovels hard to keep her moving. There's a long train hanging on her back. Look at her roll, look at her roll, look at her roll, look at her roll. The jolly green giant burning Newcastle coal. In a railroad town at night she stops for water and lets an old freight engine rumble by. Passengers sleep on until the morning. Wakes a new day in the eastern sky. And for miles and miles around they hear her coming. They love the friendly whistle, you can tell. I guess you'd say the trains are something special, especially to the ones who know them well. Look at her roll, look at her roll, look at her roll, look at her roll. The jolly green giant burning Newcastle coal. Today the winds are colder on the main line, where once the steaming engines used to run. And they tell us that electric trains and diesels are all we'll see now steam is finally done. How I long to hear the whistle of the big one, slowly rolling down a mountainside, with smoke and cinders hanging all around her. I'd climb aboard and catch me one last ride. Look at her roll, look at her roll, look at her roll, look at her roll. The jolly green giant burning Newcastle coal. Look at her roll, look at her roll, look at her roll, look at her roll. The jolly green giant burning Newcastle coal. Look at her roll. Look at her roll.
You may talk of Columbus a sailing across the Atlantic sea, but he never tried to go railing from Menace as far as Kilkee. You run for the train in the morning, the excursion train starting at 8. You're there when the clock gives the warning, but there for an hour you will wait. And as you're waiting in the train, you'll hear the guard sing this refrain. Are you right there, Michael, are you right? Do you think that we'll be home before the night? You've been so long and starting that you couldn't say for certain. Still you might now, Michael, so you might. They find out where the engine's been hiding, and it drags you to Sweet Corofin. Says the guard, back her down on the siding, there's the goods from Kilrush coming in. Well, perhaps it comes in 2 hours, perhaps it breaks down on the way. If it does, says the guard, be the powers, we're here for the rest of the day. And as you sit and curse your luck, the train backs down into a trough. Are you right there, Michael, are you right? Have you got the parcel there from Mrs. White? Oh, you haven't? Oh, begotta, say it's coming down tomorrow, and it might now, Michael, so it might. At Lahinch the sea shines like a jewel, with joy you are ready to shout. When the stoker cries out, there's no fuel, and the fire is totally out. But hand up that bit of a log there, I'll soon have you out of a fix. There's a fine clamp of turf in the bog there, and the rest go a-gathering sticks. And And while you're breaking bits of trees, you hear some wise remarks like these. Are you right there, Michael? Are you right? Do you think that you can get the fire to light? Oh, an hour you'll require, for the turf it might be drier, and it might, now Michael, so it might. Kilkee, oh, you never get near it. You're in luck if the train brings you back, for the permanent way is so queer it spends most of its time off the track. Uphill the old engine is climbing, while the passengers push with a will. You're in luck when you reach Ennis timing, for all the way home is downhill. And as you're wobbling through the dark, you hear the guard make this remark. Are you right there, Michael? Are you right? Do you think that you'll be home before it's light? 'Tis all dependent whether the old engine holds together, and it might, now Michael, so it might, so it might, and it might, now Michael, so it might.
Last night I dreamed that I was still a railroad man, and all the tracks I've rode were stretched before me. I felt the footblade rattle to the rhythm of the rails, and all the trains I've known then passed before me. The Sunlander roared up through Queensland, the Silver City Comet raced on by. I had a couple of bushels from the tea and sugar train, and I took old Puffin' Billy on the fly. And the mighty Garretts thundered through the mountains, and the 38s and Nannies hugged the rails. Old Hellfire Jack is hanging on that air brake. He'll be on his way to glory if she fails. And coming down the long straight through the desert, there's the Indian Pacific making time. And out of Central Station comes Joe Dargan in his engine. Joe Dargan is a good old friend of mine. And the Southern Roarer opens up the throttle. I can hear a whistle screaming through the night. A trucker tries to pace her on the highway, but before his rig can roll, she's out of sight. And all across the land I see the drivers and the firemen sweat beneath the hot Australian sun. And in a cloud of smoke and fire, majestic in its pride, I see the steam train make its final run. Last night I dreamed that I was still a railroad man, and all the tracks I've rode were stretched before me. I felt the footblade rattle to the rhythm of the rails, and all the trains I've known then passed before me. The Sunlander roared up through Queensland, the Silver City Comet raced on by. I had a couple of bushels from the tea and sugar train, and I took old Puffin' Billy on the fly. Across the land I see the drivers and the firemen sweat beneath the hot Australian sun. And in a cloud of smoke and fire, majestic in its pride, I see the steam train make its final run. Last night I dreamed that I was still a railroad man, and all the tracks I've rode were stretched before me. I felt the footblade rattle to the rhythm of the rails, and all the trains I've known then passed before me. At the end of the track, all smoky and black, a rusting old engine stands there. Number 1909 is at the end of the line, and it seems like nobody cares. But the old man beside her remembers with pride her reply to his every command. When he held her throttle instead of that bottle, and he was a much younger man. They're two old-timers, two 1909ers, two old-timers, too old for the game. Her axles are rusted, her boiler is busted, and he'll never ride her again. But slowly he'll climb to her cab one more time and drink with his memories there. 'Cause he knows a railroader is not a freeloader when he has a bottle to share. And he'll take her out steaming, all shining and gleaming, to run with the freight and the mail. Riding out on the main line, yes, they were the good times, when she was a queen of the rails. They're two old-timers, two 1909ers, two old-timers, too old for the game. Her axles are rusted, her boiler is busted, and he'll never ride her again. On the news yesterday, the old man heard them say that his fiery old engine was sold to an out-of-town wrecker who was coming to get her, 'cause they said she was useless and old. Now today in the town, the word's going round how an old man has just passed away. They found him, I'm told, in the sleet and the cold, in the cab of that engine today. They were two old-timers, two 1909ers, two old-timers, too old for the game. Her axles had rusted, her boiler had busted, and we'll never see them again. And we'll never see them again.